Career Fair Preparation, Tips and Strategies for Working the Room, brought to you by the UMass Lowell Career and Co-op Center. One of the first things you'll want to do as you begin thinking ahead to our next career fair is get a feel for what you should expect. You should expect that it will be quite busy. We typically have more than 150 employers arranged in rows of booths and hundreds of students at any given time. What this means is simply that you'll want to be prepared, which is probably why you're listening to this information now. I'll go through some specific items that you should be paying attention to now, as well as things that you can do that day to make the career fair a useful and productive prospecting event for you. It's really important to pay close attention to your resume well in advance of the career fair. About 2 weeks prior to the fair, take a careful look at your resume and ask yourself these questions. Is the length appropriate? Recruiters will be really busy that day and will not want to read through a 2 or 3 page document. Does my contact information need to be updated or streamlined? Is the format of my resume clear, logical, and easy to read? Does any of the content need to be updated? For example, ending dates of positions. Have I consistently used the past tense of the verb for former positions and the present tense for current roles? Are there any recent or more relevant academic projects that I can add? Are my skills up to date? Any new tools, technologies, or skill sets that I can incorporate? Will I be ready to talk about my skills and experiences? If an employer asks me a question at the career fair about a former position, an academic project, or a problem that I've recently had to solve, will I be ready to provide relevant and articulate information and examples? And finally, have I made my profile or summary as relevant as possible to the kind of position I'm looking for? If any of these issues still need to be addressed, do so well in advance of the career fair. We're happy to see students for resume review appointments or during scheduled drop-in hours, but don't wait to contact us until the very last minute. Not only will you have a hard time getting an appointment, but the quality of your revised resume will likely not be as good if you're making rushed, last-minute changes. A lot of students have questions about whether to bring business cards to the career fair. It might not be a bad idea, but it's definitely not required. If you do decide to produce business cards, stick with a simple, professional-looking format. Unless you're in an artistic field, there's not generally a need to incorporate lots of design elements into your business card. Again, if you have questions about the format and/or content that will work best for your card, if you decide to use one, please feel free to contact our office for an appointment or to find out about drop-in hours. About a week before the career fair, you'll want to find out exactly who's planning to be there and what they'll be looking for that day. You should come up with a target list of employers, research them thoroughly, and prepare some questions to ask each one. At this time, you should also be making several copies of your resume and planning what you'll say when you introduce yourself, which we'll be getting to in just a minute. But for now, let's talk a little bit more about that company research. There are two excellent ways of finding out who will be at our career fair. The first is by visiting our website, career.uml.edu, and clicking on the link that brings you to the list of participating employers. You can sort employers by academic major and then click on company names to find more information about each one. To further research the employers that you're interested in, we'd suggest visiting their websites to find out who they are and what they do. This information will help you come up with thoughtful questions as well as relevant examples of skills, projects, experience, and professional interests. The other way of finding and researching participating employers is through an app called Guidebook, which we will be encouraging you to download prior to the career fair. This app will provide you with useful details about each employer that will assist you in your preparation strategy, as well as real-time information during the event. Stay tuned for information from the Career and Co-op Center about how to download and use this tool. Now, back to that introduction I mentioned a minute ago. Ideally, all this research we're suggesting you do should result in you having a list of target companies that you plan to speak to at the career fair. But how do you get that dialogue started? Well, the first and possibly most important thing that you'll want to do when approaching an employer is to extend your hand for a firm, confident handshake. As you do, look the other person in the eye, smile, and say, "Hi, my name is," and then your name. When shaking hands, extend your right hand so that your arm is parallel to the ground and your thumb is pointing up. Give the other person's hand a firm yet gentle squeeze with the web of your hand connecting with the web of theirs, and after 1 or 2 pumps, release the other person's hand. You don't want your handshake to be bone-crushing or uncomfortable for the other person, but you don't want it to be weak either, since that may convey a lack of confidence. If you haven't had to engage in a professional handshake yet, seek out some practice opportunities this week. You could even come in during drop-in hours and ask for handshake advice and practice from us. Other pieces of information that you can bring into your introduction include your year in school, your major, a quick overview of your applicable skills, a description of what you're looking for that day, and then an open-ended question to ensure that the conversation you've started continues. After your introduction, you should be prepared to engage with the employer for at least a couple of minutes, although pay attention to lines building up behind you or signs from the recruiter that you should be wrapping up your end of the conversation. To ensure that the conversation goes well, be ready to talk about your related interests and skills, indicate that you are genuinely interested in the company and in specific opportunities that you identified during your research, and to ask at least a couple of questions about the company. In addition to researching employers and practicing your conversation before the career fair, we also suggest that you think about your career fair attire and accessories. Students are often surprised to learn that a suit is not too formal to wear to a career fair. Granted, you may be applying for positions in very casual industries, but a career fair, like a job interview, is a selling event for you, and so you will likely be dressed more professionally than the recruiter or manager representing each company. For both men and women, a dark gray or navy suit with a light colored dress shirt is very appropriate. Men should choose a subtle tie in a shade or pattern that complements the outfit. Dark socks, dress shoes, and a coordinated belt will finish the look. Women, you should feel free to wear a skirt suit if that's a comfortable choice for you. However, a pantsuit is very acceptable these days. If you decide not to wear a suit to the career fair, we would encourage you to select the most professional outfit in your wardrobe, preferably a shirt with a collar, clean, pressed slacks, matching shoes, not sneakers, and a belt. Women are welcome to wear a skirt if they'd prefer, but the length should be either just above or just below the knee, and nylons or tights should be worn. The bottom line is that regardless of what you decide to wear that day, you should be dressed professionally. Bring with you only what you'll need: a leather pad folio with a pad of paper, a pen, your student ID, and several copies of your resume inside is about all that you'll need to have with you. Heavy bags and jackets should be left behind. As you're getting ready on the day of the career fair, remember the importance of making a positive first impression. Your clothes, of course, should be clean and pressed. Make sure that you're well groomed that day. You've taken a shower and you've brushed your teeth right before leaving. Keep jewelry and makeup to a minimum so that your look is professional and not distracting. Avoid cologne and perfume. And finally, take a minute to think about the logistics of getting to the event, making sure that you leave yourself enough time to get there. When you walk into the room, try your best to put your shoulders back, smile, and appear calm and confident. For some, this may feel like acting at first. However, after just a couple of positive conversations, your confidence will start feeling more and more genuine. If you're nervous when you first walk in, why not start with the employer that's at the bottom of your target list as opposed to the one at the top? Remember, there will be a lot of people there and a lot going on, so you'll need to project your voice so that employers can hear you and so that you sound confident when you speak. Remember to ask questions, listen, and show interest in the information you're getting from the recruiters. Ask for business cards and give a confident handshake at both the beginning and the end of each conversation. Pace yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Make sure that you've allowed yourself plenty of time to work the room. You don't want to appear rushed or frazzled. After the career fair, make sure to follow up with employers that you're potentially interested in. Collecting business cards during your career fair conversations and then stepping away to jot down a useful note on the back of each one will allow you to tailor your follow-up letter or email to each recruiter. If we can help, feel free to come in during drop-in hours to have your follow-up letter reviewed by a career counselor. If the company suggested that you apply online, make sure to do so. And finally, take a minute to think about what went well at this career fair, as well as what you'd like to improve on the next time. If there are specific questions or concerns that you think we can help with, let us know. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this presentation. I hope that you now feel more prepared and confident for the next career fair. Remember, we will be there that day and we'll be more than happy to answer any last minute questions or give you feedback on your handshake or introduction. If you'd like to meet with us before the career fair, don't hesitate to contact our office for an appointment. Thank you and best of luck.